The story begins with Lieutenant Catalina, who is in a hurry, trying to escape an airship with a girl named Lyria. While running, some Imperial soldiers try to stop them, but Catalina easily defeats them all with her sword. Lyria is worried, but Catalina tells her everything will be fine, and to keep moving. Eventually, when they reach the other end of the ship, a man named Pommern stops Catalina and calls out her name. He pulls out a purple crystal, and when Lyria looks at it, the crystal embedded in her chest starts reacting. Catalina tells him to stop, then all of a sudden Pommern's crystal explodes, and Lyria falls out of the ship. We are then introduced to our main protagonist named Gran, who is cutting up some wood while talking to his friend Aaron, who is sitting in the shade of a tree. A small dragon named Vern comes over with Aaron's father and gives Gran an apple and thanks him for helping. They then notice the huge battleship in the sky, which suddenly explodes, and they see a light falling from the ship and landing in the woods. Watching this, Gran quickly grabs his sword and goes straight over to the forest with Vern. While they were searching for the light in the woods, they found Lyria lying on the ground. When she awakes, she becomes frightened, so Gran tries to comfort her and introduces himself with Vern. Lyria calms down and explains what happened on the ship with Catalina. Then some soldiers spot them and try to capture Lyria. So Gran draws for his sword and protects her by knocking down the two soldiers. One of the soldiers lets off a flare into the sky to call for backup, but Catalina notices the flare and hurries toward the signal to save her. The reinforcements turn up and start chasing them through the woods. Gran asks why they're chasing her, and Lyria told him they're Imperial soldiers from the Empire. The soldiers corner them from every angle, but Catalina shows up just in time and attacks them with her magic powers. Later, Catalina introduces herself to Gran and told him she's also a part of the Empire, but not any longer because of what she's done to them today. She goes on to explain that Lyria is wanted by the Empire, and she was being used as an experiment and was locked in solitary confinement. Catalina thought it was wrong, so she helped her escape. After, Gran tells Catalina that he will help them fight the Empire, and joins them on their quest. But on their way there, Pommern arrives and blocks their path. Pommern then summons his four-headed dragon named Hydra. Catalina told him to run, but the dragon targeted Gran and instantly attacked him. The dragon charges at Gran and puts him to the ground. He manages to dodge all the fireballs, but then gets surrounded by the flames. And right then, the dragon stomps on him, leaving him with a very deep cut in his chest. The others are in shock when they saw what happened to Gran, and Vern starts to cry and tells him to wake up, but Gran doesn't respond. Watching this, Lyria becomes sad and infuriated, and the only way to heal Gran is by Lyria giving him half her power. So she does a spell which takes her to the afterlife to heal Gran and share her power with him. But while doing this, Pommern uses a gem to disrupt Lyria's power. However, Gran still manages to wake up. When Pommern sees this happen, he's in disbelief and asks how she brought him back. He then gets scared, so he commands Hydra to attack Lyria. But at this moment, Gran and Lyria combine their powers together and summon a legendary dragon called the Bahamut. When Bahamut appears, Hydra attacks him with fireballs, but Hydra's attack doesn't seem to do any damage towards Bahamut. When Hydra stops his attack, Bahamut builds up a giant energy ball and uses it against Hydra, and with a single move, Bahamut destroys nearly half the forest and wipes out the soldiers below. When Pommern witnesses the power of Bahamut, he becomes terrified and tells them to retreat. Bahamut wins the fight, and the dragon's soul enters Lyria's crystal. But Gran doesn't feel well and falls down to the ground unconscious. He begins to have flashbacks of himself as a boy, where Gran is seen reading his father's letters. His father told him about all the other islands, like the island of wind and fire, and also the island of astrals, the home of all the primal beasts. His friend Aaron interrupts him and told him that these other islands don't exist and said it's just a fairy tale. However, Gran disagrees and tells him one day he will become a skyfarer just like his father, and will visit the island and meet all the astrals. When Gran awakes, he finds Lyria sitting in his room and hugs him in relief that he's alive. She's shocked that he's alive and well, and has no injuries or marks on his body. When Catalina and Vern come up to his room, Gran asks about the village and if anyone else was hurt, but Catalina tells him that no one in the village got hurt apart from him, and that it's a miracle seeing him alive. She expresses that no amount of magic could ever bring a human back to life. However, the only person who has this kind of power is Lyria. Catalina tells Gran that the Empire has been looking into the primal crystals to expand their domain, and Lyria is the primary key to all their research. But even with all the Empire's resources, they still weren't able to unlock the full potential of Lyria's power, so they kept her locked away until they could complete all their research. But Catalina saved her as she wanted to show her a new life. Beyond being a prisoner, she tells him that Lyria's power comes from a primal crystal, and she's able to control primal beasts, the relics of the astrals, such as the black dragon she summoned earlier, known as the Bahamut. These beasts can normally only be controlled by the astrals, but Lyria is also able to summon the dragons. Vern is surprised and told them she might be one of the long-lost legendary astrals, but Catalina said all the legendary astrals are long gone. To which Vern replies, saying if she's not an astral, then what is she? But Lyria told them she doesn't know what she is, and has no memory prior to being captured by the Empire. All she understands is that when Gran was hurt, she wanted nothing more than to save him and bring him back to life. However, since Lyria and Gran combine their life forces together, Gran is unable to be too far away from Lyria, as they are now joined together as one life. So Catalina told Gran he needs to come with them to escape the soldiers of the Empire, and told him their plan is to go to the Island of Astrals. Catalina explains that the Island of Astrals is the only place to find a cure for Lyria's power. When she mentions the Island of Astrals, Gran is filled with excitement as his father told him about the Astral Island when he was younger, and everyone used to tell him it was all make-believe. Later that night, he tells everyone in his village about his departure, and the people tell him that the Island of Astrals is a dangerous place, but he tells them he's already made up his mind, and that his destiny is to be with Lyria. The following morning, he meets with the others to head off on their journey in Catalina's old aircraft. During the flight, Catalina's aircraft suddenly becomes unstable, and they end up crashing on an island called Angana. Soon, a man named Rackham spots them crashing and inspects Catalina's ship. He tells them their ship has been completely destroyed and will not be able to fly again. After his inspection, he tells them they need some proper flight training, then puts his bag on and leaves. Later, Catalina takes everyone to the town where Gran buys a new sword, and Lyria takes a diary to write her adventures in it. The following day, Catalina is arguing with the receptionist at the airship station, who told her all the ships have sold out and the next one will be available in a few days. Then Gran notices a giant airship landing outside the station, and said he's always wanted to fly a ship just like this. Then Rackham shows up again and introduces himself. After, he takes them to his workshop and shows them their destroyed airship, which he's currently fixing. Suddenly, two spies from the Empire, Drang and Strum, appear. Drang tries to capture them by deceiving them, and tells them he has a spare airship they can use, and has lots of fresh apples, but he accidentally slipped up by mentioning Lieutenant Catalina's name during a sentence. Hearing this, everyone becomes more cautious and tries to escape with the help of Rackham. Drang and Strum started chasing them, and almost captured them in an alley, but Gran told them not to worry, and draws for his sword. Seeing this, Drang and Strum get ready to fight back and use their magic powers against Gran. Gran gets ready to attack with his new sword, but while approaching them, Gran gets help from a mysterious lady from above. Rackham found them and shows them the secret tunnels, and leads them back to Catalina. While Gran is sitting with Catalina and the others, he told Catalina about the two spies of the Empire that tried to capture them. Catalina said they must be secret agents working for the Empire, and told them it's not safe here. So Gran suggests they should leave the island right away. But Catalina says all the flights are already booked, and they don't have enough money to buy a new airship. While talking, a girl named Silo appears and tells them she's the bar owner, and says she can help them with whatever problems they're having. Lyria is surprised that someone this small is running a business, but she explains that she is a grown-up person. However, she's from a different race, called the Harvin, so that's why she's small. Catalina asks Silo if she can help them find an airship, but she replies saying that all the Skyfarers are unavailable for hire, but she does have an old airship for sale, but she expresses that it's too expensive for them to buy and also they have no one to fly the ship. So the people sitting next to them heard what they said, and mentions a guy named Rackham, a retired helmsman who might help them fly the ship. So Gran and the others went off to find Rackham, to ask him to be their helmsman. But when they arrive near his ship, they notice a Harvin named General Furious, who is leading some Empire soldiers nearby. Catalina says that they should hide in the building until he leaves, but Furious detects their movement and destroys the building they're hiding in. Watching this, Rackham uses his sniper and fires at the soldiers. He also shoots near Gran as a signal to show him the secret underground path. They then meet Rackham as they go into the underground tunnel, and then he leads them back to his house. At Rackham's house, he asks them what they were doing near his ship. So Gran tells him that they were looking for him to be their helmsman. But Rackham says he cannot go anywhere without his beloved ship named Grand Cipher. Rackham explains that Grand Cipher is a ship he's been building his whole life, and once it broke down he stopped flying entirely, and won't fly another ship as he's loyal to Grand Cipher. Gran smiles, and says he understands his feelings. Catalina spots Furious leaving the area, and said it's safe to leave. But Gran mentioned to Catalina something he heard General Furious say, which is his plan to destroy the whole island. So Catalina says they will need to warn everyone in the city and evacuate the island. When they are about to leave, Rackham stops them and says he will also go with them. While returning to the city, they meet again with the two spies of the Empire. Drang tries to offer them an airship, and told Vern he has a bag of apples, and said all they need to do is follow them. but Catalina said she knows their true intentions, which is to imprison Lyria again. When Catalina refuses their offer, Drang says they have to force them to get on their ship, and then starts to fight with his magic powers. So Rackham fires back at them, and Gran uses his sword against Drang. However, their powers are unmatched against Drang's abilities. Suddenly, the weather becomes terrible, and a tornado storm begins to form. So Drang and Strum quickly retreat. After that, they go into the city hall, where many people are taking refuge due to the storm which is destroying their homes. Rackham said they need to get everyone off the island immediately, and asks if anybody has a ship available, to which a man replies saying he has a big enough ship, but his helmsman is severely injured, and no one can fly the ship. So Rackham says he will be the helmsman and take control of the ship. He tells everyone not to worry and explains that he's used to flying in these types of weather conditions. They take a small group over to the airship to get it started up. But all of a sudden, General Furious destroys their last airship and says that Tiamat, the goddess of wind, will destroy the entire island, and will unleash her primal beast upon them. Lyria says she can stop Tiamat with her powers, but only if she gets closer to Tiamat. Rackham says his ship might be waiting for such a day to fly, and takes a chance with Grand Cypher. Rackham starts talking to the ship and begs it to start up one last time, and he manages to get it started. Once they reach a high enough altitude, they come across the primal beast Tiamat, who's been corrupted by General Furious. Lyria communicates with Tiamat using the primal crystal, and asks her not to destroy the island. But Tiamat doesn't listen to her commands and still attacks. Lyria tries once again to interact with Tiamat, but she cannot get through to her, as the Empire has put an infected crystal embedded in her chest to corrupt her mind and go against her own beliefs. Lyria asks Gran to destroy the corrupt crystal using the power of the Bahamut. After gaining the power of Bahamut, Gran jumps straight off the side of the ship and activates his sword ability. He gets directly above Tiamat, and once he gets close enough, he finally destroys the crystal, making her normal again and saving the island. Tiamat brings Gran back to the ship and gives Lyria a gift, then fades away. Later on, they all go to eat, and Lyria pulls out the gift that Tiamat gave her, and when they both touch it, they can see some visions of a volcano and a giant broken down factory. Silo is shocked after seeing the gift, and tells her it's a piece of a sky map. Catalina says she's heard of the sky map fragments before, and there are other pieces which all fit together and is needed to get through the place they need to go. Later that night, Gran visits Rackham and asks him if he wanted to be their helmsman. He asks Gran for the destination of where he wanted to go, and Gran told him he wants to visit the island of Astrals. Rackham is surprised hearing this and wanted to know why, so Gran tells him his father is waiting for him on the island of Astrals. He shows Rackham the letter his dad sent to him when he was younger, and Rackham told him he didn't know this place actually exists. After talking, Rackham tells Gran he wouldn't want to miss out on seeing the islands of Astrals, and agrees on being their helmsman. The next day, they leave and fly out to the destination, and they end up at the first location called Vaults, where they need to gather supplies, as it is known to have plenty of steel and armor and food. However, they notice that the town is pretty much empty and no one is around, but the shops are still stocked with items. After they enter a restaurant, and here they meet with a man who said he was a secret agent and works for the government of Vaults. He was impressed when he heard about Gran and his group saving the city of Port Breeze from the storms of Tiamat, and wanted to ask for a favor, which requires their unique skills and talents. He requested them to find a very important person who went missing, and he told them it was the Archduke of Vaults. He explains that if word got out that the Archduke was missing, the whole city would be in despair, so he needs a third party to act on his behalf and find him without the city knowing about his disappearance. Gran accepts the request, and they all head out to find the Archduke. The next day, they go around asking the people of Vaults about information on the Archduke, and while asking, we see someone spying on them and listening in on their conversations. After talking with many citizens, they come to realize that the Archduke is adored by everyone in the city, and soon enough, riots will begin to occur if he isn't found. So later on, they begin to investigate an abandoned factory when Catalina realizes they're being followed. She tells them this must be the same person she noticed following them from yesterday, because she's getting a sense of magic from the trace of the footsteps. Suddenly, they hear a girl screaming, and they see her getting attacked by goblins. They quickly help her fight off the goblins, and Gran asks her who she is, and she tells them her name is Io, a mage of Vaults, and she's been following them because she knows that they're also trying to find the Archduke, who is her master. She told the group that the Duke is her mentor in the arts of magic, and told them he's a brilliant magician who can also build amazing structures and machines. But one day the people from the Empire turned up and he disappeared. Gran shows Io the locations they've written down as to where the Archduke might be, and she told them one of the places sounds familiar, so they leave to investigate the location. They then arrive outside a giant cave, and Io notices a secret entrance hidden by using magic. They enter the secret passage and end up inside a hidden laboratory. While inside, they begin searching for the Archduke, and Lyria tells the others she senses something inside the lab. Suddenly, the two spies of the Empire come out and tell them that this place was first discovered by the Astrals, and what Lyria is sensing is the primal beasts. We then see a girl walking next to the Supreme Advisor of the Empire, known as the Black Knight, which is the strongest Imperial Knight in the kingdom. After seeing this, Catalina is shocked, and she asks them what the Black Knight is doing here. They told the group that they're also trying to find the Archduke, because he agreed on doing a joint project with the Empire, which involves using primal crystals. But the Duke took all the research and used it for himself, and put the crystal inside one of his giant machines. After they leave, a mechanical monster appears behind them, and Io tells them this machine must be one of the machines built by the Archduke, and his magic powers are controlling the monster. Io ran up to the machine and begged her master to stop, but the machine didn't listen to her and starts attacking her. But luckily Gran saves her just in time. After, Rackham shoots the monster, and they all head towards an escape route. After escaping, Lyria warns them about a voice she keeps hearing, and tells them that ever since the mechanical monster appeared, she keeps hearing the same voice. They continue to investigate and search the other parts of the laboratory until they come across a mysterious room with another giant machine, and there they meet the Archduke. But Io tells them he's acting strange, and we see that his eyes flash red, and Vern tells them it's a bad sign. The Archduke seems to have forgotten who his student Io is, and doesn't remember anything. They try talking with the Duke, but he told them his work still isn't complete, and he needs to awaken the true power of the Iron Giant. And to do this he will need the power of Lyria's primal crystal. The Empire spies and the girl who controls the Black Knight are watching this happen from afar. They use the girl's power to awaken the Archduke's creation, to attack Gran and the group. After the mech awakens, the Duke commands it to attack them, so they begin to fight the Iron Giant using all their skills. They start using basic attacks against the mech, but it doesn't do enough damage. Then Lyria gives Gran the power of the Bahamut, and he approaches the beast with his elemental sword and tries defeating it with all his strength. However, the mech is much stronger than they expected, and they find it troublesome in defeating him. Then Io gets mad at her master for turning against her, so she uses the magic that the Archduke taught her, and she manages to knock down the mech. But Colossus gets back up, so they all bind together as a team and use their abilities simultaneously to defeat the giant mech. After defeating Colossus, Io goes up to the Archduke and uses her magic to snap him back to reality and remove the evil curse the Empire put on him. She starts to cry when he remembers her, and then we see a flashback of Io when she was younger. She explains how an epidemic of a disease spread throughout the city and caused the death of her mother and father. So for a long time she lived alone, until the Archduke found her and took her in, and treated her like his own daughter. He was kind, and even taught her how to do magic, and made her feel happy even after what happened. After, Io asks everyone what their next plans are now that they've found the Archduke, and Gran told her they will be continuing on with their journey towards the island of Astrals. The next day, they all get ready to leave for the next trip, and say their goodbyes to the people of Vaults. But that's when Io tells the group she will be traveling with them, as she's always wanted to see the other islands and meet the Astrals. While traveling, they come across some ruins, and decide to go inside to check it out. But while investigating, the ground suddenly breaks, and they all fall down into the depths of the ruins. The team gets split up into two groups, and they end up in a secret underground area. A bat tries attacking Catalina, so she easily eliminates it with her sword. On the other side of the tunnel, Gran spots water rushing towards them, but Io uses her mage powers and forms a tornado for protection. Catalina also uses her magic to protect them from the traps hidden all around the ruins, and Lyria almost gets trapped, but Catalina and Vern help her just at the last second. Lyria tells them she knows the location of Gran, and can feel his presence through the crystal. However, Gran might not be able to feel the same thing as Lyria, as her power is still much stronger than his. Then Gran and his group hear an explosion, and here we are introduced to two new characters, named Mary and Carva, who are two girls which are also exploring the ruins. They're here searching for the buried treasure, but the treasure is being guarded by a creature made of sand who attacks them. But Gran and his group help them just in time as they arrive. Upon arriving, they notice that the sand creature is quite strong, so they need to come up with a plan to defeat it. Then Gran uses a fireball and puts it inside the mouth of the creature to eliminate the monster. After defeating the creature, a secret door opens, and inside is all the treasure of the ruins. Inside the room, Gran found a special sword, and while holding the sword, it forms a bright light. Then they all get teleported outside. After being teleported, the ruins disappear, and Carva and Mary get upset as they didn't get any of the treasure. After, Lyria is seen having a vision where all her friends are dead, and there was another version of Lyria, but she wakes up and it was only a nightmare. The next morning they head off to their destination, and they arrive on an island which appears to be uninhabited. But Lyria tells them she senses something on the island, so they begin to investigate and explore deeper. They find some people on the island, and a man named Eugene recognized Rackham from Port Breeze. He introduces himself to the rest of the group and explains that their island is currently at war with the Empire. He takes them over to the city, and when they arrive, the group is amazed about how beautiful the city is, and are surprised that a city like this is at war with the Empire. A man then told the people of the city that he was just attacked by a monster. He was badly injured, so Lyria healed him with her magic powers. They then head over to the town stores and buy some supplies, and while buying the supplies, Gran spots a blue necklace and gave it to Lyria as a gift. While this happens, we see some hooded figure watching them, and then Gran told Lyria he forgot something important back at the store. He quickly runs back, but when he returns, Lyria was gone. She was captured by the hooded person who was following them, and Lyria was unable to do anything, as the hooded individual was holding the purple gem, which blocks Lyria's power, so she's unable to escape. Gran tries chasing them down, but he's not fast enough and the hooded man escapes on a boat with Lyria. At the same time this happens, the city is also being invaded by the Empire ships. The man who took Lyria was Pommern, and he starts threatening all the citizens. So Lyria begs him to stop, but he told her to be quiet, and then proceeds to break the necklace that Gran gave her. He tells Lyria that she's nothing more than an experiment made by the Empire, and said she shouldn't be making friends. Gran found Lyria and tries taking on the Imperial guards. He struggles, and after he summons a giant water dragon, which starts to attack all the Empire ships. And right before he eliminates Lyria, Gran knocked him down. But then they notice that the sea dragon caused a tsunami and is about to wipe out the whole city. But then a girl named Rosetta appears and rescues them all using her magic powers. After the waves hit Lyria, she becomes unconscious and doesn't wake up. Gran and Catalina stay by her side and take care of her. While sitting by her side, Catalina confesses to Gran about Lyria's true powers, and told him that she was used by the Empire as a weapon experiment, and they accidentally summoned an unknown creature from inside Lyria, and the creature could overcome the Empire and bring destruction to their entire kingdom. So the Empire decided to imprison her to make sure she wouldn't lose control and summon the demon inside her. After they head over to the island with astrals to bring her back to life and wake her up. They then come across a giant tree, and Rosetta explains that they can use the magic of the tree to bring her back. Once she wakes up, Lyria explains that she was in a dark sleep, and was worried about the power of the creature being awakened, and was worried no one would be able to stop her. After she awakens, this also awakened the giant dragon of the seas. So Gran instantly uses all his power to attack the dragon and takes it out with his sword. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time guys, take care.